Greetings and welcome back to my channel. Greetings and welcome back to my channel, Chat's Expressions, where I will be diving deep into my own expression, personality, character, as well as what I create, which tends to be my writing, my novels, my series, all of that good stuff. And you are here with Chiemeka Nicely. I am a self-published author. I debuted my novel The Masterpiece back in 2018, but then I re-edited it and reintroduced it this year. And today's video will be me reading the first chapter of my novel. Here is the cover. And I thought I would do something different this time to challenge myself, especially as I'm not the best at reading aloud, but for you guys, I will do something new. Just a quick overview of my novel. It is in like the Afrofuturism genre, which is like black fantasy, a bit of sci-fi. It incorporates a lot of Kemetic symbology, which is now known as Egypt, and it dives more into spirituality. As for the plot of this novel, it's centered around Princess Callista, who is an elite supreme warrior, and she takes her first assignment to Kimar to uncover the 6th dynasty disappearance during the Civil War. But in taking this assignment, she also discovers a new world outside of her kingdom, which she has never left, and it also introduces her to a world within her. So if you guys are interested, you can read the first 3 chapters for free by clicking the link in the description box. Hopefully you guys will be able to read along with me. Please also make sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you guys could come a bit closer and lend me your ear. Welcome to Asurfa. The Ganapians. Every species known to man were aware of them in the 9th dimension. They spoke of them in their bedtime stories, taught children from their early years right through to adulthood about their importance. They were classed as the others many wanted to identify with. There were mixed voices about their existence, some filled with love and light, others, most, envy and jealousy. Above all, the one distinction that separated them from the Ganapians was the blue star. They believed its sole purpose was to activate specific codes in their DNA, heightening their perception, elevating their consciousness. More than 40% brain consumption. Their abilities as a result were so superior that they were beyond the understanding and imagination of most civilizations. To be in total unification with their vessel and their environment. God on the physical plane and God in the sky. There was no separation. For the music they played in their stride to actualize their divine purpose, paired with mental resilience, they were the eminent threats to the other species' progress, or the legends unmatched to reality. Ganapar had 6 kingdoms for 6 dynasties across the supercontinent. Each dynasty specialized in STEM, science, technology, engineering and mathematics. The 6th kingdom, always in the beyond with spirituality as a system for advancement and inquiry, rooted itself with the natural laws, to govern their being with order and integrity, righteousness and gratitude, to flow with the cycles and rhythms of nature, living forward, not backward or upside down. This was the only way their infrastructure could remain intact, forever blessed and protected by the supreme deities they respected and appreciated as reflections of themselves. The 2nd dynasty was famously known for their tapestries, sophisticated models that stood tall to the sky, even ran deep beneath the earth. They utilized mathematics and engineering, the construction of exquisite designs in alignment with the stars. Science that they had not entirely forgotten themselves. They had chosen instead to hide and move with the evolving times. Pyramids, for example, giant structures of red and black earth sheltered their former kings and queens in tombs that also contained the infinite knowledge passed down by their ancestors. A beauty they were, even in blind darkness. Their skills, rich culture, inspired their annual Visionary Day, which honored and celebrated their people's talents and the supreme deities for bestowing such gifts upon them. The 3rd, 4th and 5th kingdoms mined their underground materials, copper, amethyst, the stabilizing stone carnelian, and jasper rocks. These they studied, theorized, invented new technologies to harness their power, interweaving them into jewelry and clothing. Each faction within their respective dynasties would wear a specific color and design to characterize the level of skill they had acquired and the value and belief system they adhered to. Some would be worshippers of Sun Ra, others taken a liking to the 48 powers noted by Ma'at. The 1st dynasty, however, was the most developed out of the 6 dynasties. They had that heavenly kingdom shining with magnificence in the north, walls even thick enough to stop a stampede of elephants, an avalanche of bombs and missiles. They had technology, a range of weaponry from the mind link, carbon lion claw bracelet, spears enhanced with kinetic energy, to magnetic earrings that heightened their abilities. The silver rings of the elite supreme warrior clan, a supercomputer used to communicate with the other warriors, created virtual simulations and acted as a recording device through the eyes of its host. To live as such, mighty and integrated with technology, the first dynasty had to make sacrifices. Sacrifices the 6th dynasty would have rather they hadn't made, and thus began the upending conflict that would stretch their unity to the depths of separation. Despite all the dynasty's advancements, there was once a time where Genepa suffered through darkness, a seeming chaos that upset the balance they were all meant to uphold, a period of great embarrassment and despair. What had caused this? Who were involved? From a standing of glory to a fall, enough to set them back a generation or two. Why did this have to happen? It's the cycle of things. What rises must collapse. What was unseen had to be brought to light. What was unspoken had to be handed a microphone. The scales of balance had long since been tipping, so with their involvement, their arrival, the chaos they brought to this day, a reset was due. The returning of the divine, the remembrance of truth, the rebirth of the enlightened. Was that enough to intrigue you guys? I mean, chapter 1 is mainly just like an introduction to the world that I've created in the masterpiece. In some forms, it could be like info dumping, but I felt like it was necessary to create that little overview because of how the story or the series goes. Like book 2, it's not how I thought it would be when I started book 1, and so it was kind of necessary to create that platform so then I could keep going back from what I set out to then develop it later on. Like, it's not always advised to info dump, it's more of a thing that you interweave throughout the whole story. But this is not like your usual story, and there's many different connections or complexities within it. But let me just read the first page of the chapter 1, which is Kimar Genepa, fight or flight. The former has always been encouraged, but right now the latter was a must. The strangers materialized from nothingness, gathering around me like a pack of hungry wolves, eyes ready for their feast. For miles the earth screamed for nutrients as a web of cracks sprouted like alfalfa across its fragile skin. Steep hills with the occasional eyesore of crumbling huts were visible through naked trees, their fruit lost within death's phantom. The 6th dynasty's palace still bore the scars of the war, blood and ashes trailing around every chunk of stone. After all these years, it is the only reminder of what was and what could have been. The kingdom's black walls still remain pockmarked, with straws of roots weaving through its crevices. The once elegant palace tilted beneath engraved, crumbled pillars. It was a pity it had become likened to rubble. When it fell, the hearts of the people must have crushed with it. Even the statue of the dynastic emblem of a lion's head with a cobra wrapped in its hair had become disfigured from Ma'at's side. One leg folded beneath her, the goddess of truth, justice, cosmic order, her yellow-brown skin chipped with red rocks. Oh, the sight of dried blood everywhere. My stomach churned. The one thing intact, as though the only hope and willpower of the people who once occupied the space was the model golden staff, the one every dynasty had, with the red sunstone piece at the center of the top loop. With every step I took, my breath hung like a fog in the air, wading not just through the disaster, but the memory of their past crawling along my skin. This was the first sign that nothing was as it appeared. The second, a gravitational shift. A ghost-like blizzard of energy danced across the land with a seeming content, sweeping rocks off the ground and I mere inches on and off the earth. Then a high-pitched frequency, deafening to the air, my hands cupping them, could not dull the sound, nor relieve the bubbles that pressed my eardrums. Even my eyes, as they began to dizzy, I thought it best to give my head a shake, to snap out of the spell-like sensation, but my legs were weakening at the knees too. For all this to happen at once, I must have travelled too far to something, a part of Kimar that had been untouched since its devastation. to be firm, to be calm in mind. I needed to be. So with both hands pressed to my heart, a deep breath drawing from my chest, it was better to remember why I was here. As a matter of urgency, why I had crossed the lands and seas, to uncover a truth guarded. Such earthly tricks would not send me scurrying back to Elburn. Defiant, gaze forward, unwavering, I proceeded. From the moment I crossed the border, my bare feet wading through the River Alin and its red soil to set foot on the deserted Kamar, a vague feeling of unease crawled over my skin with a quiver. My ankle beads rattled, amplifying my concerns. Despite the stories from the Sixth Dynasty's disappearance after the Civil War, it felt surreal to be here. Strange energy hinted at life here, the unseen wandering. Anyone who had set foot on Kamar within a decade would have thought it too, an overwhelming feeling of pure Ka. Energy and spirit, infused with pain and misery, burned my tongue, a metallic taste staining my saliva, twisting my insides into fists. It took a lot not to vomit on the very ground where death had marked its territory. It was at this moment that I knew I was not alone. So that perspective was actually from Callista, who is my protagonist. And yeah, that's all that I'll be reading for today. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'm interested to know. I don't get much feedback from it. Like, I have had reviews, not much since I've done the re-edit. And I'd just like to know what you guys think. Also, I'm in the middle of writing book 2 and I'm not gonna lie, it is insane. It was difficult to start, but now that I've gotten into it, I feel like I want to extend it and make it even longer, because originally I only wanted it to be an interlude between book 1 and then like book 3 essentially, so it would be like a short story. It would be more specific to Callista and her journey within her mind. It will just give that extra context before we now return back to book 3. But I'm not trying to give away too much spoilers, but if you guys would like to know how this is going, you can follow me on Instagram at Chiemeka Nicely. Yes, I did return after taking a long break, social distancing and that. And also follow the link in the description to subscribe to my mailing list if you want to read the first 3 chapters for free. And thank you guys for listening. I hope to see you sometime in the future. Peace.